Welcome to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer. Today on the show, we're joined by someone who truly changed the game, MC Lyte. She was the first solo female rapper to release a full-length album, Light as a Rock, and the first woman in hip-hop nominated for a Grammy for her track Roughneck. She's been recognized by the Smithsonian and the Recording Industry Association of America as a pioneer of women in hip-hop. Her latest album, One of One, released last year, marks her return to music after a 9-year hiatus and features collaborators with icons like Queen Latifah, Q-Tip, and Stevie Wonder. Beyond the music, she's an accomplished actress and voice artist with roles in film and TV, plus work behind the scenes as a music supervisor and producer. MC Lyte also appeared in the 2023 Netflix docuseries Ladies First, a story of women in hip-hop, which spotlighted her role in shaping the culture. With a passion to use her platform for good, she is one of the co-founders of the Hip Hop Sisters Foundation, which works to uplift the image of women in hip-hop while providing educational and wellness opportunities for youth and adults and supporting community organizations that share its mission. And now she's back on tour with One of One Reflections of Light coming to Headliners Music Hall in Louisville on April 5th. MC Lyte, we're so honored to have you join us today on Track.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It feels like a lifetime I've been waiting to get to this moment for One of One and being able to be there with you all in Louisville. So this is going to be great.
So when did you first discover hip hop? I'm very curious.
I discovered hip hop in 1970, maybe 5 or 6 at my older cousin's home in Spanish Harlem. And they were listening to the Treacherous Three and Curtis Blow and the Funky 4 plus one more. And so they had these cassette tapes that this music would take place on. And that's where I got my first fill on hip hop.
Did that ignite something in you?
I think it was once I heard Melly Mel with The Message that I said, oh my goodness, the storytelling had really appealed to me. As a matter of fact, he and Melly Mel and Slick Rick are my faves when it comes to storytelling. And I think I took a page out of their book with my first song, I Cram to Understand You. But that and Rapper's Delight.
Yes. I mean, I'm there with you. I was just telling my producer that my brother used to play these records, well, really cassettes, growing up to me as bedtime stories, which I really love. And I feel that from you. So, as the first solo female rapper to release a full-length album, Light as a Rock, looking back, how do you think that actually shifted not just hip-hop, but the way women were seen and treated across the music industry? And how have you kind of seen that landscape evolve since then?
Well, what's interesting, because I'm in it and it's my POV, it's like, okay, what's happening here as I'm creating and as it's being released? But it's not until I hear the stories of other women that share their experience with having listened to the songs or grown up with the songs or depended on the songs to move them through a moment in time. So for me, it was just keeping it all the way real. These are the things that are on my mind. These are the things I want to talk about. And quite frankly, listening to a song like Paper Thin now for me is like, what the hell did I know? Like, what? I don't think young people give themselves enough credit for what it is that they know, nor do I think adults give them the credit. But it is a different day in time. And so I guess we just assume that kids know more, but we actually do. And so when I listen to Paper Thin, I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know I knew enough about that at that moment to even speak from an area of having lived life the way that I did.
I think it's interesting because I think when we're younger, that's like raw emotion and it's like the heart of things that's uninformed, but it's there. It's all like completely pure. So I'm curious about this for you too. What does it really mean to be the first? Because you do have a lot of firsts. First Grammy nomination, first female hip hop artist to perform at the White House, and that list goes on and on. What does that mean?
I guess that I'm old. No. I guess it's just a point of reference, that I think it's sort of like a AKA pioneer, AKA legend. The first to have done this means I broke a mold. I began the history as it relates to women in hip hop in that particular area of where I was first. Um, Beyond that, I don't know that it does anything except tell people that you've been here for a very long time. And I was just blessed enough to be the first to have the opportunity. And even though, there's these niches, first to um, release a full length album on a major record label. However, uh, Roxanne Shante was probably the first solo artist to release a single on a major record label.
Okay. Yeah.
Salt and Pepper were the first female hip hop duo to receive a Grammy. So everybody has their first to one degree or another. But I'm just happy I
Right.
got the cachet.
Yes. And earned. So this kind of brings me to the Netflix docuseries Ladies First: The Story of Women in Hip Hop. You and other game changers highlight the significant yet often overlooked contributions of women in the genre, reflecting on the series' impact since its release. What changes have you observed in that recognition and opportunities for women in hip hop, not only on the mic but also behind the scenes?
Yeah, what's interesting is the last maybe 5 to 10 years has been miraculous for women in hip hop. Finally, the door, I'm not going to say the door was open. I'm going to say they kicked it in and they didn't stop and they took it seriously and they took the time and they created and they pushed and they did all of the things that are necessary. You can't make a record and then say, I'm a hip hop artist and things are going to happen for me, but you didn't do the video and you didn't go perform and you didn't push and promote and you didn't do all of the things done at the foundation type level to exceed as an artist. And I think in the last 5 or 10 years, we've seen so many women come forward. As a matter of fact, I saw an article the other day, 22 female MCs from the Houston, Texas market alone. And they all have music, that's been recorded, all music that's been released, videos that go along with it, bios, pictures, videos, all of the things that are necessary. And I just think that today in this time, women can kind of call the shots. Now, of course, there's a mainstream level where you got to play the mainstream game. But if you're just into your craft and wanting to speak to people and have a message that's worthy of the time, I think the doors are wide open.
I love that. I'm hearing the passion and the work is coming through more than ever. So, hip hop has surpassed its 50th anniversary now. And as someone who's shaped so much of its history, what does that milestone mean to you personally?
Oh, everything. On the 50th year, there was so many activations, so many collaborations with different corporations and, different organizations. It just was miraculous to see, hip hop had made it this far. And during that time, I think I did the Rock the Bells cruise, the Rock the Bells festival. It was almost as if LL Cool J and all of his team said, you know what, the 50th year is coming upon us. We need to get Rock the Bells together and make it really tight so that when this year comes up, we have so many things to do to celebrate this genre of hip hop. And so we performed all over the country. We did so many wonderful things. And I'm just happy to have been a part of it. I'm happy for all the newcomers, but for someone who has had an opportunity to see KRS-One and Public Enemy and Salt and Pepper, Rakim, and all of them perform at clubs in New York City that no longer exist, that are the history, are within the history of the 50 years of hip hop. I'm just happy to have had that type of experience.
And it's cool to see that from really beginning to now, and then just this year is a milestone to be like, yeah, hip hop is here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was the year, I think, that all of us performing everywhere and seeing, 25, 30,000 people show up every night for a show was like, oh my goodness, we still have an audience. We still can put out music, which I think many of us did last year. Common and Pete Rock, Ghostface Killer, LL Cool J, Eminem, myself, and probably a host of others that I'm, forgetting at this point. Nas, Rakim. We were reminded that there's an audience that definitely wants to hear from us.
And I could say as a hip hop fan, that was like one of my favorite years ever in music for that reason. So I want to talk about some of the things you do using your platform for good. Can you tell us a bit about the Hip Hop Sisters Foundation? I know this is a foundation that you started with Dr. Lynn Richardson and Dr. Felicia Shaw. What inspired that creation of this project, and what have you done together?
Well, first, I had lent my celebrity to so many other organizations throughout time. I always hoped for my own so that I could have a little bit more creativity as it relates to the programming, as opposed to just showing up for somebody, which is cool too. But in essence, you always want to, at least I've always wanted to have my own where I can sort of pull in the reins and move the horse the way that we wanted to. And so with Hip Hop Sisters, we've successfully been able to send several people on to start and finish their collegiate careers. And so I'm very proud of that point because I really feel like the future is in the youth. And if they can get a higher level of education, then they can have the belief and the faith that they can move forward with doing anything that they want to do. And so that's kind of where the motive was, yeah.
I love that. So how have you seen this make an impact?
Oh boy. Well, one of the
Big
one of
question.
the first group of men who have graduated, one does coding for the Navy, and he just got married like about 2 weeks ago, which was so crazy to see because we've known them since they were like 16, 17 years old. Another got married last year, and he was recruited to Goldman Sachs immediately after graduating and then decided he wanted to be a photographer. So he works for Live Nation. It's so many areas that these guys now have the liberty to move into. One of our gentlemen is down in New Orleans on the political front, working for one of the councilmen there. So just to see where their interest lies and how they've been able to move there and feel confident about that has been great. And then also we do a lot in the area of financial empowerment with Dr. Lynn Richardson. And so annually we have an event called Wealth, Womanhood, Expansion, Assets, Leadership, Transformation, and Health. And we come together at the beginning of the year to kind of spice these ladies up so that they can, be better stewards over their finances and in that case, be better for family, be better for community, and learn how to save for generational wealth. So we're making strides, but still moving towards bigger and brighter ways to help the community and all of its people.
I really love to hear that. And it's just it's incredible to have that power and to use it for good, when you have the platform. I'm curious, and we've touched on this. How do you view your role, not just as an artist, but someone who can help move the needle forward for cultural change?
I feel great about it. It's been something that I've taken on to be able to kind of coax my generation into staying away from drugs. So I wanted to use my voice for this campaign that would let them know that you shouldn't take drugs, deal drugs, be involved in a relationship with others who are on or taking drugs. And I felt even though that I was young, I was able to speak to my, age range, my generation about those things. And so from the very beginning, I've just always thought it's much better each one teach one.
Nice. I like that. Well, thank you, MC Lyte. We'll be back in a minute. You're on track with Louisville Public Media.
Welcome back to Listen to Your Heart. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Jerry's heart.
Today's topic, Repatha, evolocumab. Heart? Why'd you pick this one?
Well, Jerry, for people who have had a heart attack, like us, diet and exercise might not be enough to lower the risk of another one.
Okay.
To help know if we're at risk, we should be getting our LDL-C, our bad cholesterol, checked, and talking to our doctor.
I'm listening.
And if it's still too high, Repatha can be added to a statin to lower our LDL-C and our heart attack risk.
Guess it's time to ask about Repatha.
Do not take Repatha if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Common side effects include runny nose, sore throat, common cold symptoms, flu or flu-like symptoms, back pain, high blood sugar, and redness, pain, or bruising at the injection site.
Listen to your heart.
Ask your doctor about Repatha. Learn more at repatha.com or call 1-844-REPATHA.
You're on track. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and we are talking with legendary rapper MC Lyte ahead of her upcoming show, the One of One Reflections of Light Tour, hitting Headliners Music Hall here in Louisville on Saturday, April 5th. Now, your new album, your latest album, One of One, marks your return after a 9-year hiatus. What inspired you to come back and release a new record, and how does it feel to be back?
Well, honestly, we had been working on a record, but just at our leisure. And that's with Warren Campbell, multi-platinum selling producer and composer. And so we just decided, let's just work a little and see what happens. And so we were moving at a snail's pace. And then the 50th year of the anniversary of hip hop happened. And just being out there on the scene, it was like, oh my goodness, look at all these people that want music from us, from the legends. And so, and I humbly say that I'm just so used to other people noting me as a legend. But in any case, I just been here a long time, right? That's what we said. And so we immediately put kind of the rush on it. We released a record called Woman last year for Women's History Month. And once we saw the feedback and people were just so delighted to hear from us, we said, let's just get in the studio and mash this thing out. And we were able to come up with some miraculous songs. And, I can't even say how much God showed up for me with this record, because some of them were written in less than an hour. And I don't move through records in that way. Like, oh, let me see how fast I can get through this, because many artists do. Right. And then they regret it because they didn't take the time to really concentrate on what it was that they were going to put out into the world. And so even though I wrote them quickly, I sat with them for a while to make sure that I was using every word that was necessary to convey the message that I wanted to go out to the people. So that's how I ended up in the studio.
I love that. And it feels very personal too. And you're bringing that, the One of One Reflections of Light Tour to Louisville this Saturday. We're so excited. And actually, so I was trying to dig to see, have you been in Louisville before? Have you played here? I mean, you played everywhere.
I think the last time I might have been there was with maybe the Budweiser Fest tour with like SWV and Teddy Riley and, Guy and Keith Sweat.
Okay. Nice. Yeah,
so
I was just
been a
curious. I
long
was trying to.
time.
It's been a minute, so it's a great. It's exciting to have you here, and this tour is described as more than a concert; it's a call to action. What kind of action are you hoping to inspire in people who come out to these shows, especially in cities like Louisville?
Oh, that's interesting. A call to action. It's probably just to love yourself. To love yourself, to be forgiving towards yourself. We make a lot of mistakes when we're younger, and it's no need to carry all of that stuff into your new day. And so for me, this tour is about, yes, we've grown up together. We have many generations are familiar with who I am. And also those who met me when they were younger or met MC Lyte the music, they've seen me grow up, and we've kind of grown up together. And so it's about going through the decades of the music, but also, who we are. And so it's very interactive and it's very intimate. And, while we're there, I call it the living room. I think that'll be the next tour, the living room. But right now, it's just really about exposure and vulnerability. And we're able to capture that in these venues, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and I felt that in the record too, because it's so you, but it's grown, like grown subject, grown up. I feel like I grew up with you when I'm listening to One of One, so I really love that. You know, when thinking about Louisville specifically, Louisville has a long history of activism and cultural expression, from Muhammad Ali's global fight for justice to local and national impact of Breonna Taylor's story, in a place shaped by both pride and pain. How do you see music showing up as a force for healing and movement building?
Oh, goodness. Well, music can move the needle on emotion, where you're not told what to feel. You feel what you feel. It just is. And I think it is the greatest, buster of color lines. And um, music, music just has a tendency to heal. That's if you're choosing the right music. If you're letting the music lead you in a positive way, and you're letting your positivity lead you to a space to hear the music that feeds you. I feel like music can be nutrients if it's the right message. Because you can choose music to put you in a good mood. You can put music to perpetuate a sad mood. You can put music on to make you feel festive. This is why I love DJing. Thank God for Bismarck, who, before he, decided to leave this realm, he gifted me with my first musical library. And I'm very thankful for him and DJ Cool V for doing that, because the power of music is immeasurable. And yeah, I think music can also move the needle just as much as any speaker can.
And I also think I would add, just in what you're saying there, like it can be beyond a speaker. I feel like music has that other element. It touches these emotions that don't have words too, right?
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. It is a
So
dimension that exists that you can get to with music that sometimes other mediums of entertainment. Well, that's what it is too. It's more than it can be. It can serve the purpose of more than just entertainment, whereas it is a spirit lifter.
I really like that. I like that, and I like your use of the word dimension too, because it's sort of hard to explain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
So this is the final date of your tour. So if you are able to share anything with us, what's next for you?
Oh, goodness, I have more performing. We have the Masters of the Mic tour that's happening at amphitheaters across the nation. And that is with Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, Rakim, and EPMD. And so I'm looking forward to that. But more one-of-one dates are being added. I don't even know how, but yes, they're being added. And we haven't done the West Coast leg. So
Okay.
this is the final. Louisville is the final show on the third leg. And then we'll go back in April to do some more in some other places. I think Indianapolis. It's a couple of other places that we're going to hit.
So you still have a lot of legs to go, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, there's still a lot of legs to go. I like that.
Well, so you're not only the master of the mic, but the master of self-love and self-worth. So do you have any further words of advice before I let you go?
Advice in the realm of just being or
Just
music
being.
or
I think just being, and then I want to get to music too, but I feel like just being, because I feel like your album One of One is so personal. And I even heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that that particular album, you started writing with someone, but it became so personal that you ended up telling that story on your own. Is that right?
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, he kept calling like, okay, when are we headed to the studio? And then finally I was like, okay, what is my hesitation with having him join me in the studio? And I'm like, oh, okay. This is an internal introspective mission.
Yeah.
And once I made that decision, it became so much easier to really dig in and let it just flow and not be concerned with sounding too preachy here or sounding like a know-it-all over here. It's like, if you can't really share what it is that you know, then what are you sharing? So if I had to give a piece of advice right now, it would simply be to be. And a lot of us are really consumed with having and doing, and most of us have to do in order to have. But I think what's really important for people to understand is if you can't really be with yourself, then there's some more work that needs to be done so that you can release, let go, relax, and be your best self so that you can ultimately, there's a book, I think it's a title, Be the Person You Want to Draw, or be the company that you want to have, or, so it's just a way of tightening up who it is that you are so that you're presentable not just for yourself, but for all of the others that you encounter.
I think that's a really great advice. And now I just want to piggyback off of that and ask the advice for those maybe emerging musicians who are thinking about jumping on the mic. What would you say to them?
Well, the scene is so saturated. So I would just say, as I always have, be yourself. Find that piece of you that is all real, very, genuine, the genuine nature by which you address your artistry will be connected to your level of success and your longevity. Because if you pretend to be something you are not, and let's just say by some lucky chance you get over the hump and you're out there and it's great, it'll never last. And if it does, you'll be miserable, because all of that love and adoration and admiration will be for someone that really doesn't exist. So be you.
Thank you so much, MC Lyte. MC Lyte, has been an absolute pleasure to have you here on track.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. God bless. And I look forward to seeing Louisville.
MC Lyte is a pioneer for women in hip hop. She was the first solo female rapper to release a full-length album and has also been recognized by the Smithsonian and Recording Industry Association of America for her contributions to music and culture. Her latest album, One of One, is out now, and she'll be performing in Louisville on Saturday, April 5th at Headliners Music Hall. On Track is a production of Louisville Public Media. The On Track production team includes Michelle Tyreen Johnson, Jacob Munoz, Alex Biscardi, and Laura Ellis. Our music is by Kojin Toshiro. If you're just tuning in and you want to hear the full show, you can find it now at LouisvilleOnTrack.org or in your favorite podcast app. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and remember, she was the first to ignite the flame. MC Lyte carved out the game. Until next time, you're on track with Louisville Public Media.